Hey, you ever want to play your favorite anime character in a tabletop RPG and the system would, kind of let you do it, but not really? Well, then you should play Worlds of Myth. Welcome to Mythtube, where we build your favorite anime characters in Worlds of Myth. What is Worlds of Myth, you may ask? Well, Myth is a tabletop RPG that I designed to allow you to build the over-the-top characters you only find in shonen battle anime. Characters like Naruto, Deku, Meliodas, and Ken Kaneki are all examples of characters this game can easily let you build. The game is in late beta right now, so you can head on over to worldsofmyth.net and download a free PDF, and you can also download a variety of other supplements. Yeah, for free. My goal is to spread awareness of the game before its official launch, and I want as many of you as possible to have fun playing it. You can also head on over to our Discord at Sinister Jester Worlds of Myth, where you can talk all things about the game, find a group to play with, or check out some of the other games we're testing. But without further ado, let's talk about who we're building today. So today we are building Dragon Sin of Wrath Meliodas, the pervious little ball of Chad from the 7 Deadly Sins. This show was one of my favorites, or at least the first half of it was. Unlike the Eternimes of the 90s, characterized by slow build-up, 7 Deadly Sins hit the ground running from episode 1, with a perfect pacing that was action-packed but still slow enough to really let us get to know and fall in love with its main characters. But, like many masterpieces, it started out brilliantly and got worse and worse as it progressed. Well, maybe that's not entirely fair. The story I do think got better and better. Like, Nakuba did a great job putting in some cool twists and turns in the show. My biggest beef is that the fights took a hard dip in quality. Like, how can you go from this to this? Sure, the power level is supposed to go up, but the dynamics of the fight scene are just so stale and boring. And as someone who read the manga, I wish I could say that it was the fault of bad animation, but the truth is Nakuba just sort of let his creativity fall off in the action department. Which, for a shonen battle anime, is at least half the reason people are watching. Look at this, just lazy choreography. But I digress. Let's talk about our main boy here, Meliodas. So first things first, let's talk about which version of Meliodas we are building and set some expectations for the build. So we are not building God Mode Meliodas. Those powers were something that he gave up in exchange for destroying the 10 Commandments and staying in Britannia with Elizabeth. The Meliodas that we'll be building is the Meliodas that was at the height of his power before absorbing the 10 Commandments. Which, for the most part, is the same Meliodas that fought in the last battle against the Demon King, since when you look at the fight, he didn't actually use his Demon King form. And with that, let's go over his abilities. So Meliodas is a demon and the captain of the 7 Deadly Sins. Thanks to his heritage and training, he is super fast, strong, and durable with an impressive healing factor. In a fight, he prefers to wield a short sword, and the rest of his body is just as deadly, as he regularly supplements his blade attacks with kicks and punches. He can fly, he can shoot demonic waves of flame with hellfire. Using his sacred treasure, he can make multiple clones of himself, and he can use his ever so famous full counter, which enables him to reflect any magical attacks back at his attacker. He can also use the devastating revenge counter. Once activated, he begins storing the damage he takes in a fight as energy before releasing it in one giant devastating attack. Next, he has the ability to go into his black mode, which would later evolve into the less politically triggering assault mode. This form draws out more of his demonic power, allowing him to use this dark magic-y ooze stuff to attack in a variety of ways. In the early parts of the show, where part of Meliodas' power was sealed, he had a hard time controlling this form, going into a sort of battle trance every time he used it. But after he had the remainder of his power unsealed, he could freely use these powers without issue. Lastly, thanks to a curse placed on him by his father, Meliodas is effectively immortal and will come back to life if killed, but at the cost of some of his emotions. So what level should we build him at? Well, in Myth there are roughly 6 tiers of power with 5 levels between each. At levels 1 through 5, you get your foot soldiers and your holy knights in training. Levels 6 through 10 is where I'd put true holy knights. Levels 11 through 15 would be for your truly powerful holy knights, characters like Dreyfus, Hendrickson, and Zarathus. And then levels 16 through 20 is where I'd put most of the 7 deadly sins when we are first introduced to them. They were already pretty busted elite warriors. Tier 5, or levels 21 through 25, is where most of the 10 commandments sit. And then Tier 6, or levels 26 through 30, is where I'd put the truly terrifying enemies such as Chandler, Cusack, the original demon, and maybe even the Demon King when he's not at full power. The version of Meliodas we'll be building defeated the Demon King with help and is probably stronger than Chandler and Cusack individually, so we'll be building him as a level 28 character. Starting out with our level 1, for Meliodas' stats we'll go with 3 speed, 3 power, 4 skill, 3 cunning, and 4 heart. I really wanted to go with the typical shonen protagonist spread here, but I just couldn't justify giving Meliodas only 1 cunning. He's a goofball and solves most of his problems by brute force, but he's never once portrayed as dumb. He actually pulls some pretty clever stuff. For his race, we will obviously go with Demon. As a demon, you get +1 speed, power, and skill with only 2 measly gene slots. You also get Superior Being, which grants you +5 to all of your stat caps, meaning you cap at 20 instead of 15. You also get a level 1 and a Sin Mark gene. You are the Sin of Wrath, so we'll go with Mark of Wrath level 1. This will give you another +1 power, skill, and +1 heart, and will make it so every time you take damage, you store a rage counter. You can store up to 5 rage counters in this way and can spend any number of them to give you +1 offense, +1 defense, +2 damage, and +1 protection for the duration of 1 attack or block. Lastly, as a demon you have the ability Soulless, which makes it so that you cannot regain myth on your own, but must instead consume souls from dead bodies to do so. This usually takes 2 actions and a passive action to do, making it not ideal for recovering myth mid-combat. But Mark of Wrath upgrades your Soul Devour spell to Conquer Soul, which allows you to spend a passive action as you are killing someone in order to instantly absorb their soul. Has Meliodas ever done this? You don't know. When the 10 Commandments escaped from Purgatory, they all had to eat souls to recover their magic, so why shouldn't he? For your spell schools, demons get Shadowmancy, Mortomancy, Kleptomancy, and an elemental spell school of choice. We'll go with Pyromancy. For talents, you get Intimidation/Rage level 1 thanks to your race and sin choice. This will give you +5 to Intimidation rolls, which might not be the style of the Meliodas we know and love, but can be seen as a leftover skill from your bad boy days. You also get 1 more talent of choice. We'll go with Seduction level 1. You might be the Sin of Wrath, but Lust is a close second. Like, seriously, dude, you are one lucky guy that Britannia doesn't have better sex offender laws. For our level 1 kit, you get 5 upgrade points, and the first thing we are going to do is spend 2 of those in order to pick up the gene Isekai Visitor level 1. You are not an Isekai Visitor, but we desperately need another gene slot for this build to work, and this is one of the few things that can give it to us. This gene does not take up a gene slot, but provides an extra one to you instead. It does also have a debt mechanic, meaning that for the next 2 levels, you will automatically lose an additional 2 upgrade points. Then for our 3 remaining points, we'll pick up Medium Blade level 1, Monk level 1, and then Dual Wielding. Next, we are gonna skip all the way up to level 15. Why? Because the show never really lets us see a Meliodas that's weaker than 4th tier. So we're just gonna take him all the way up to his highest non-epic level and then go from there. By level 15, you get +70 HP, +140 myth, +2 stacks of overcharge, 76 upgrade points, and 14 stats. We'll go ahead and put 7 of those into cunning and 5 into heart, since we won't really be getting those stats juiced up through our race or genes. We'll put the last 2 into speed, since that has been the weakest of our physical stats so far. As a demon, we get another +4 speed, power, and skill, and our Mark of Wrath automatically gets upgraded to level 3, giving us another +1 power, skill, and heart. The number of rage counters also goes up. You can now stack an amount of rage counters equal to your heart stat, which is currently 11, and you gain a rage stack every time you attack. Finally, you can spend 2 actions, 20 myth, and 10 rage counters in order to activate the genetic spell Berserk, which gives you +5 speed, power, skill, and heart at the cost of -5 cunning, and you lose control of your character to the GM. First things first, let's not forget that we owe the Isekai Visitor Gene 4 upgrade points, so we'll spend those first to get them out of the way. Pay off your debts, kids. Next, we'll go ahead and pick up Brawler. Normally, your first monk weapon has to be a full set of hands or set of legs. There's more to it than that, but that's the gist. But with this, so long as you have one non-monk weapon in one hand, like a sword, and then your other hand is empty and you're not pulling some multiple arms or hovering weapon shenanigans, then your empty hand counts as a full monk weapon. This means that you can tri-wield your sword with your kicks and your punches. Remember that when using more than 2 weapons in a single attack, you have to spend an additional passive action in order to use that attack. But you are adding 2 dual wielding bonuses to the chance to hit and damage, so it's still really good. So naturally, we're going to make sure that we master our medium blade and monk weapon at level 5. Next, we'll get you some Hellfire in the form of Fire Strike level 3 and Dark Strike level 3. Each one of these spells costs a passive action and 10 myth, but grants you bonus damage to all of your attacks for the rest of the turn. Fire Strike gives you +14 fire damage, and Dark Strike gives you +12 dark damage with another +5 if you have one other amplification spell active, which you do, that's Fire Strike. Meliodas doesn't use this attack often, but when he does, it is powerful enough to scar an immortal. Next, we need to get you access to Mirrormancy. We'll do that in the form of Implanted Spell Crystal level 3, which will give us +50 myth and access to 3 elemental or specialty spell schools of choice, or we can convert those into spell affinities. We'll go ahead and pick up Mirrormancy as promised, and then go ahead and shove 2 spell affinities into the school, cause this is the spell school that will grant Meliodas his most iconic abilities. And then we'll immediately pick up one of those iconic abilities, his full counter, with Reflect level 5. This is a block type spell that requires you to spend a counter, but if it succeeds, it reflects the opponent's attack right back at them. If it fails, you do get +3 protection or damage mitigation against the attack. Also, counters are something that anybody can prepare by spending a passive action, and then you can spend them usually to activate cool techniques and stuff. As for your Reflect spell, I know that full counter is only supposed to work on magic attacks, but unfortunately I don't have a worse option for you, so you're just gonna have to make do with the superior version. Next, we'll pick up Mirror Clones level 3. For 1 action and 15 myth, you can create 3 clones of yourself. The clones have all of your abilities, but only have 20 HP and draw on your myth to cast. You can also expend stacks of overcharge in order to double cast this spell for each stack. Keep in mind that clones don't get any actions until the next round of combat after they are summoned, and that a player is only allowed to have up to 4 turns in a row. So think of any additional clones you create as extra insurance. Next, let's work on that immortality of yours. We'll get that in the form of Phoenix Aspect level 1. This gives us access to Vitamancy, and once per day when we would die, we instead respawn on our next upkeep with an amount of health equal to our heart stat. For your healing factor, we will also go ahead and grab the Vitamancy spell Regenerate level 5. By spending a passive action in 10 myth, you heal by 4d8 plus heart and can spend an additional +1 myth any number of times in order to add +1 healing. Note that this doesn't regenerate limbs, so you're gonna have to reattach if they get cut off. Next, let's get every shonen protagonist's favorite gene, Alter Ego level 2. This gives you the spell Ego Takeover level 2, which for 2 actions and 30 myth grants you +6 to all of your stats, but forces you to surrender control of your character over to the GM, who may or may not decide to attack your friends. Then, since we've met our speed and cunning stat minimums, we'll pick up the customary Godly Speed and Efficient. Together, these 2 growths will grant you an extra action each turn. And then, with all of our important kit goals out of the way, we'll blow our remaining points on stats. with improved speed level 5, improved power level 5, improved skill level 4, and improved heart level 4. Next, we'll just go ahead and zip on up to level 20. This is probably where we would be introduced to Meliodas in the show, maybe more like level 18, but definitely in this tier. By this level, you'll get another plus 25 HP, plus 50 myth, plus 1 stack of overcharge, 30 upgrade points, plus 5 to all your stat caps, and plus 5 stats. We'll go ahead and put 2 of those into heart. Your strongest attribute is your will to win, and then the rest into speed, power, and skill. As a demon, we also get another plus 1 speed, power, and skill, and our sin mark evolves to Mark of Wrath level 4, giving us plus 1 to all of our stats and stat caps. Powerhouse races are nice. First things first, we'll go ahead and grab Shadow Manipulation level 6. This will represent that inky black stuff you can use to attack with when you're going into your PC mode. Next, Meliodas was an absolute unit during all stages of the show, so we'll go ahead and grab Implanted Spell Crystal level 4 and Overflowing Spirit. These will give us plus 2 stacks of overcharge, which means that if you spend all 5 stacks in one attack, you'll get plus 5 offense, plus 100 damage, and plus 250 feet to that attack. And that's a lot of damage. Finally, we'll get ourselves a revenge counter in the form of Stored Power level 2. With this ultimate Mirromancy spell, you can spend a passive action and 26 myth after affinities in order to start storing the damage you take as potential damage for this spell's attack. Record how much damage you take, not how much HP you lose. And when you are good and ready, you can spend 2 actions in order to launch a super attack that deals twice the amount of damage you took plus your heart stat in a 100-foot cone. Keep in mind that you can add overcharge stacks to this attack. And with only 2 measly upgrade points left, we'll go ahead and pick up improved skill level 5 and improved heart level 5. By level 25, you have had your sealed power restored to you. By this level, you'll get another plus 25 HP, plus 50 myth, plus 1 stack of overcharge, 30 more upgrade points, plus 5 to all your stat caps, and plus 5 stats. We'll go ahead and put 1 into heart and skill, 2 into power, and 1 into speed. As a demon, we also get another plus 1 speed, power, and skill. First things first, during this time you stopped going nuts whenever you activated your PC mode, so we'll upgrade to Alter Ego level 3. This will give you Ego Takeover level 3, which improves the stat bonuses to plus 7 instead of plus 6, and you get to maintain control over your character. Next, we'll go ahead and max out your Revenge counter with Stored Power level 3. This will improve your attack template for the spell and also gives you the option to channel all of your stored damage into a different attack. The stored damage isn't doubled the way it is with the base version of the spell, but situationally this might give you a better chance to hit. And then our stats have been criminally low for Meliodas up to this point. We've just had higher priorities trying to get him his full kit. So we'll go ahead and grab improved speed, power, skill, and heart level 10. Since we can't get our stats any higher through growths, we'll go ahead and grab durable level 1 for an extra 10 HP. For our last 3 levels, this is the point in the story where you reach that final glorious assault mode. By the time you hit level 28, you'll get plus 15 HP, plus 30 myth, plus 1 stack of overcharge, 15 upgrade points, plus 5 to all your stats, and plus 3 stats. We'll put all of those points into skill. During this time, the only guy who can land a blow on you is Escanor in his The One form. As a demon, you also get another plus 1 speed, power, and skill. Again, powerhouses are nice. And first things first, we'll grab Reflect level 6. This will improve our defense rolls with the spell, but more importantly makes it so that we don't have to spend a counter anymore, so we can use our full counters with impunity. We'll also grab Medium Blade level 6 so that it's fully mastered, and then we'll get rid of our odd point with Durable level 2 for yet another plus 10 HP. And then finally for our capstone, we'll grab Release Form level 2. For 2 actions and a passive action, you get plus 5 to all of your stats for as long as you maintain the form. This will represent our assault mode. I almost just said screw it, let's build him as a level 29 so we can grab release form level 3, because that second release is when the spell gets really spicy. But it's not exactly true to the way assault mode works, and it can already be seen as an upgraded version of black mode, so you already need to activate ego takeover level 3 and release form level 2 to get the full effect. And that's the build. So how do we do? Well, it always makes me sad whenever I see a powerhouse race that hasn't maxed out at least some of their stats. But that's just what happens when you spend your gene slots on build enabling stuffs. Your stats are still very high though, and with alter ego and release form up, you get another plus 12 to all of them. You also have above average overcharge stacks, a solid healing factor with regenerate and 25 heart, really nice combat stats with tri-wielding monk and medium blade, both two of the best weapons in the game, and with reflect, mirror clones, rage stacks, and stored power, enemies are going to be hurting a lot more than you will when they hit you. And even if they kill you, you can still just Phoenix revive back to life. So flex on literally everyone with your 5 foot even muscly body, go into assault mode, and don't forget to full counter cause you're Meliodas. Unless it's Escanor, you are going to win. And that's the video folks. Go ahead and leave me a like and subscribe if you want to help me to make more content both on and off YouTube. If you want to make some like-minded friends and maybe find a group to play with, go ahead and check out our Discord at Sinister Jester Worlds of Myth, or head on over to our Facebook group at Worlds of Myth RPG. As of the release of this video, I am still giving out free copies of the game in its current state at worldsofmyth.net. You can also grab some of the beta material that is scheduled to be released in future books. And with that, my beautiful weebs, I'm out. Peace.